Carl, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? Pure, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Woodhouse, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? How you been? How's it going? It's going good. Sorry about the lateness on the live show. Trying to get things up and running, and it'll take a little bit of a while. Apologies about that, everyone. Carl, up, down, or sideways for the market time being. SD is what I would say. Comatose, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Bull XRP, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening. So, brother Moomin, good to see you as well. How you doing? Shelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? How's everyone doing? Oh, by the way, thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting the live show right now as well. Thanks so much to everyone that's liking and retweeting the live show and getting notifications on X. And thank you so much to everyone on YouTube that's liking the live show as well. Hi, Miles and CMF. Dennis, good to see you. How you doing? Thought you must have had a phone call. No, not today. Instead, it was because the platform that I'm using sometimes for a very oddly reason, the system bugs out on the platform that I'm using to stream. So that's what happens. Actually, I was restarting him. Good evening, Miles. FleXLP, good to see you. How you doing? Good evening, Miles. And all the CMF, good to see you as well. How you doing, JB, brother? How was the meeting today? It was good. I had multiple meetings essentially today for sponsorships on the CMF live show. And one of them, I'm waiting for a response back. And the other two, one of them, I have to have another video call with another member of their company. And one of them, out of the three, it's already done deal. So I had 3 meetings for sponsorship today. And one, I have to wait for a response. The other one, I have to have another meeting. And the third one, it's a done deal. We have one official sponsor. So I should be essentially announcing this week of the CMF live show. We have one sponsor for the CMF live show, which is amazing news, honestly. And it's a big company inside the crypto space. So let's see where we were. Pablo, good to see you. How you doing? Hi, Miles. Tell us something good. Yes, definitely. And we got a lot of news to cover as well on tonight's live show. Everything, Mal, evening, Miles and family. Hope everything went well. It went great. JPCMF. What companies? I can't reveal which companies they are until it's a done deal. One of them is a done deal, but I'm going to be announcing it this week. Evening, Miles. Paul, good to see you. How you doing? Awesome. Let's go. I didn't get any ads at the start today, Miles, so it's strange. That is a bit strange. Awesome. Let's go, JP. Is it Binance? Not for now, but no, it's not Binance. Hi, Miles and CMF. Solomon, good to see you. So how you doing? Evening, Miles and CMF. Manny, good to see you. So how you doing? It better not be FTX. It's definitely not FTX. Hi, Miles and CMF. George, good to see you. So how you doing? Can you explain how you are thinking about expanding the CMF with the sponsorships? So with the sponsorships that we do get through the CMF live show, so this live show, which is called the CMF live show, with all the sponsorships that we do get, and we're going to be turning it into a massive hedge fund, so a CMF hedge fund / a CMF capital, which is essentially we're going to be going into assets. We're going to be going into land plots, commercial, and essentially in terms of real estate, we're going to go through commercial and residential real estate. We're going to be essentially opening up a portfolio in terms of cryptocurrencies, in terms of investing into startup companies and startup projects, in terms of blockchain or AI. So a lot of investments is essentially what we're going to be doing. And it's going to be called the CMF hedge fund / essentially we're also going to be having a CMF capital. The CMF capital will be in control of all of our crypto portfolio assets, and every member of the CMF will have some sort of an access to it because every member of the CMF is going to be a part of it. We're also going to have our own board of executive members and teams, and that's essentially going to be raised through essentially the sponsorships on the CMF live shows. Or yesterday, I didn't even know that we can do some sort of donations on YouTube Live. So yesterday we got essentially our first money from donations going into the CMF hedge fund, which was from which was essentially from Ian, Sack, and Freem Fev, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, and Ian. Yes, let's go. Ian just added another £10 to the CMF hedge fund, which is absolutely amazing. So thanks so much to everyone yesterday that was donating as well. I was fully not aware we could even do that on CMF Live Show, but that was the first initial payments into the CMF hedge fund. And Ian just made another investment into the CMF hedge fund. And so yeah, everybody inside the CMF is going to have an equal share of the essentially CMF hedge fund and CMF capital. CMF capital will be focused essentially on crypto projects and crypto portfolios, and CMF hedge fund is going to be focused on real estate and actual assets, physical assets, in other words. And all you have to do is just be a member of the CMF, and it's free to be a member of the CMF. I've always said I have big plans for the CMF, and we're going to be turning the CMF into a massive, massive institution. Over time, not overnight, but over time, we will become a massive institution. Very nice. How can I participate? I'm in, of course. Yes, you're definitely in. And we're going to have our own board members and executives as well, which are all going to be CMF members, chosen CMF members. So that's what we're going to be doing. Anyways, amazing mouse. Let's go with us. We should have a guessing competition. My guess, Tangent. Shelly's guessing Tangent is what's sponsoring essentially. Tangent is the partner. Good guess. Adi, hi Miles and all CMF. Good to see you. How you doing? Free and forever. Good to see you. How you doing? Well, very nice. How can I process? You're already in. Hi Miles, Jim. Good to see you. How you doing? What are your doubts about HBAR now? No doubts regarding HBAR whatsoever. Good day, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well. How you doing, Mike? Miles, do you have any opinion on the MAD token? I've never looked into the MAD tokens. I would have to look into it to give you some sort of perspective on it, Paul. Paul, direct message, I'll take a look into it, no problem. Or direct message on Telegram or X, which one you're more comfortable with. I'll take a look to give you perspective. And Shelly, thank you so much for the 20 Australian dollars as well, which is going instantly into the CMF hedge fund as well. It's absolutely amazing. All the CMF members, these are all the initial first payments before the sponsorship monies come in. That's going all straight into the CMF hedge funds. So all the members that have donated, you're the first initial payments inside the CMF hedge fund. So thank you so much. Honestly, Miles, you talk to like Brad. I don't understand nothing. How much ACH will suffice? Regarding ACH, how much is enough ACH? Look, even if you have 1,000, I've said this before and I'll say it. Even if you have 1,000 tokens, for example, 1,000 tokens of ACH, 1,000 tokens of XRP, 1,000 tokens of XLM, 1,000 tokens of XDC, 1,000 tokens of a legitimate project. If you hold out longer than the person next to you that probably has 10,000 tokens, for example, if you hold out longer than them and go for the utility instead of a quick buck, you'll make a lot more. So any amount will be suffice. In other words, how do the sponsors work? Do you have to talk about them or put a banner up at the top? No, it's just basically introduce them essentially. Just securing my spot. Lol. Let's go, Shelly. Ian, thank you again for the £10. Honestly, all of this money that's being raised inside the CMF live shows is going to go straight into the CMF hedge fund. How do I become a CMF member? You're already a CMF member, Woodhouse. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Denise, good to see you as well. How you doing? How has today been, Miles? It was good. Lena, it was good. It was very, very long, but every day is, to be fairly honest, with all the meetings. But very good. Where can we expect the utility period of this bull run? When can we expect the utility run of this bull run? Well, the utility is slowly in progress. So utility comes with regulations, is what's happening right now. So as the world's shifting more into digital era, we're getting more regulations. So the more regulations we get, the closer we are getting to utility, because we're going to have regulations for utility to be happening. So it's all within the law. We can't have utility actually happening on a large, massive scale without regulations in place, because corporations won't use it, neither will banks, and so on and so on. And that's where most of the money is coming in for the utility to start kicking in. So the closer we get to more regulations and actual regulations being implemented within different jurisdictions, is the closer we are getting to utility, essentially, which is not that far off by the looks of it, because with the MICA regulations this year happening, and essentially the United Kingdom is going to do some sort of spearheading regulations, so is Russia, so is Hong Kong, so even China, and so is Singapore. Dubai is just absolutely taking the lead in terms of regulations of cryptocurrencies. Bahrain, Kuwait, they're all taking lead as well. And Vietnam is taking some sort of a lead. Indonesia is taking some sort of a lead as well. So is India. And they were the ones that announced the regulations at G20 summit last year in New Delhi. Within all the G20 G20 countries. And even Brazil, in terms of regulations, they're spearheading things as well. The Bank of International Settlements recently, essentially congratulated Brazil for how far they've come inside this digital era and how closer they're getting to an actual release of their CBDC and their regulations and everything about it. And Brazil's launching essentially next year. So the closer we get to regulations, actual regulations, is the closer we are actually getting to utility, which, by the looks of it, not that far off. Hello, everyone in the CMF. John, good to see you. How you doing? Sorry, guys, I've been away. My father died. Jim, I'm deeply condolences. Hope you're doing well for yourself. Sorry to hear that, honestly. By July 2025, will things be a lot clearer or still like now? A lot more clearer. By 2025 July, things will be a lot more clearer. Because we're just progressing. So as we progress along, things will get a lot much more clearer. Actually, so honestly, Jim, apologies to hear, and condolences, genuinely. Appreciate Miles, and wow. Welcome to the CMF Live Show, everyone. Welcome to the CMF Live Show. If you're watching this for the first time ever, this is the CMF Live Show. On this live show, we talk about the most recent things that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, regulations, politics, everything that plays a major role in the world shifting into a digital era. And the disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. And I'm going to be doing a gist of what we're going to be talking about tonight's live show, and then we'll go through the comment section, because we do a live Q&A, as is what's going on right now, so the comment sections, and then we start off with the first news. So this is the gist of what we're going to be talking about on tonight's live show. We're going to be talking about BlackRock and Solana on tonight's live show. Then we're going to be going through news regarding the US government in terms of their Bitcoin holdings and what they're doing with them. Then we're going to be talking about a CEO's perspective, Wisdom Tree CEO's perspective on the market space, inside the crypto space, in other words. Then we're going to be going through regarding Bitcoin ownership and how it's stirring essentially centralization concerns is what's going on. This is due to what Edward Snowden said, essentially at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. And then we're going to be talking about the US SEC being sued because of essentially calling NFTs securities. Then we're going to be talking about Slovenia and how they're launching essentially the first ever digital sovereign bonds in the EU, which is quite massive news, because the first ones that came out, in terms of other jurisdictions, Switzerland came out with them as well. Now, Galaxy CEO's perspective, we're going to go through on tonight's live show as well regarding Kamala Harris. We're also going to be talking about RF Kennedy Jr. on tonight's live show as well regarding Bitcoin and what he can guarantee regarding the US dollar reserves and how Bitcoin could be the only answer for US dollar reserves. Then we're going to be talking about Malaysia making a formal bid to join BRICS is what we're going to talk about on tonight's live show as well. We're also going to be talking about some other aspects as well on tonight's live show, but those are the main news we're going to be covering on tonight's live show. Now, the first news we're going to be going through is regarding BlackRock and Solana. And it's not good news regarding BlackRock and Solana, but it is something that you should know about. Now, before we go through that, we're going to go through the comment section first. But that is the first news we're going to cover on tonight's live show, which is regarding BlackRock and Solana. But before we do that, let's see what's inside the comment section. And it is a live Q&A, so if you have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. My deepest compliments to you. And good evening, Miles and everyone. Maria, good to see you as well. How you doing? Dennis, thank you so much for a donation of £7.99 as well. Appreciate everyone. Much love. Let's go, Jim. So, BlackRock. BlackRock has bad news for Solana fans. Cohen, BlackRock's chief information officer, recently told Bloomberg that the financial giant had no plans to launch a Solana exchange-traded fund ETF in the near future. Not that BlackRock doesn't have any plans essentially next month or this year, just in general, apparently BlackRock, according to Samara Cohen, which is BlackRock's chief information officer, has came out, did an interview with Bloomberg, and essentially said BlackRock doesn't have any sort of plans in the near future for a Solana ETF at all. So this is what was said. So we really look at the investability to see what meets the criteria and meets the bar to be delivered in an ETF. And for us right now, both between investability considerations and also what we hear from our clients, Bitcoin and Ether definitely meet that bar Cohen said in a response to a question about possible plans to launch more altcoin ETFs. The BlackRock CIO said that it would be a while before investors would be able to see anything else from the financial giants. Essentially, the New York-based financial giant Van Eck and crypto native from 21 Shares recently filed to launch their Solana-based ETFs. Still, such moves might be overly ambitious and leading to experts do not expect such products to be approved in 2024. Now, last week, Solana managed to surpass Bitcoin's native token, BNB token, by market capitalization, become the fourth biggest cryptocurrencies. BlackRock shattered records with its Bitcoin ETFs, which debuted in January with their slew of competing products as well. Now, early this month, also its Ether ETFs also went live, but the product has failed to generate the same level of enthusiasm. Nevertheless, Cohen said that the launch was strong regarding Ethereum ETFs, even though it hasn't been so far, mainly because of Grayscale manipulations. So that is from BlackRock. It's not just Solana, but apparently BlackRock has no intentions to be launching any other altcoins for the time being. But the question was asked regarding Solana, and the response was no good. But my perspective is they are going to be launching multiple ETFs. BlackRock, because a lot of people will say, well, how could you say that? BlackRock themselves said they will never launch, another in the near future, another ETF. BlackRock was the same company calling Bitcoin a scam. BlackRock was the same company that called crypto a Ponzi scheme. And look at them now. So here's my perspective. They're lying. They're going to be launching multiple ETFs. That's just what corporations do. Now, next news on tonight's live show is regarding the US government, which is the US government getting ready to maybe sell off their Bitcoins, apparently? So due to what Donald Trump, said at the Bitcoin conference, Donald Trump proudly came on the Bitcoin conference and he stated that essentially, this is going to be the, America is going to be a Bitcoin country, essentially. The Bitcoin is going to be a reserve asset. Bitcoin is going to do this. The rest of the Bitcoins have to be mined inside the United States, which is all positive for Bitcoin, nevertheless. And on what Donald Trump said, the United States leading Bitcoin, by the looks of it, the United States might be getting ready to sell off their Bitcoins before Donald Trump even makes it the presidency. So there's some moving about going on right now. And by moving about, I mean this. The United States government has recently executed one of its largest Bitcoin transactions, moving over $2 billion worth of Bitcoin that was seized from Silk Road, a notorious dark web marketplace. This event is a part of a series of substantial Bitcoin transfers by the government, stirring significant attention in the cryptocurrency market. The transfer involved approximately 29,800 individual Bitcoins moved from a wallet known as US Government, Silk Road DOJ confiscated funds BC1QJ, according to Arkham Intelligence. Now, Arkham Intelligence are very, let's just say in this perspective, very intelligent of finding out essentially which wallet belongs to who, because Arkham Intelligence has members from the NSA and FBI, previous members of the NSA and FBI, working inside of Arkham Intelligence and figuring out which wallet belongs to which corporation or which government. Now, this operation was split into two parts. One transfer of 27,799 Bitcoins and a small transaction of 0.001 BTC to a different wallet. While the blockchain provides a transparent view of these transactions, the specific intentions behind the transfers remain undisclosed. Earlier this month, the government also moved 237 Bitcoins valued at around $14 million at that time, originating from the assets seized from the Estonian crypto entrepreneurs Sergio and Ivan, who were essentially implemented in a large-scale cryptocurrency fraud. Prior to this large transfer, a small transaction of 11.84 Bitcoins likely essentially served as a test. Additionally, last week witnessed another government transaction of 60 Bitcoins, valued near $4 million. The Bitcoins was initially sent to a wallet labeled a long label before being moved to Coinbase Prime. The purpose of these transfers is not clear yet. They have essentially enticed unease among cryptocurrency enthusiasts and investors of why is the US government suddenly moving around quite a lot of Bitcoin. These government activities coincide with a recent decision by the German government to halt its Bitcoin sell-offs, which had negatively impacted Bitcoin's price. Following the series of large-scale offloads by the US government, Bitcoin has experienced a downtrend after briefly surging above $70,000. The price of Bitcoin has corrected to 66,984.95 cents, marking a 1.06% decline from the last 24 hours. Market analysts have expressed concerns about the potential adverse effects these continued sell-offs might have on the stability of Bitcoin's price. So, the US government is moving around quite a lot of Bitcoin to quite a lot of random wallets. The only one that was transferred to an actual exchange wallet, which was essentially a Coinbase Prime wallet, and was around $4 million, which is about 60 individual Bitcoins. But the other large amount of Bitcoins, which is around 27,799 Bitcoins, were moved to another wallet. Now, these are confiscated Bitcoins. Now, let me just put in perspective. Germany has a law. A lot of people ask, why did Germany's government sell off their Bitcoin? Why would Germany do this? How can Germany's government benefit from selling off their Bitcoins? Well, here's the thing. Germany's government did actually benefit from selling off their Bitcoins quite a lot in terms of profits. But if they held on a little bit longer, they could have made another $124 million in profits. Now, the reason why Germany's government sold off their Bitcoins, it wasn't because of out of spite. They just wanted to, make some corrections inside the market space. No. Germany's government actually has a law in place where they're not allowed to hold something that's confiscated in terms of, a legal dispute or some sort of illegal movements, because the Bitcoins that Germany's government did confiscate was from a movie website where people were using this movie website to watch free Hollywood movies that they weren't supposed to. It was completely illegal, and people were paying Bitcoin for, having access to this website. So the Bitcoins were confiscated from this platform. And Germany's government has a law where they're not allowed to hold an asset that they've confiscated on the purpose of making a profit from it. So that's why Germany's government, and within their law, they have to get rid of that asset. So that is why Germany government essentially sold off their Bitcoins. They have a law in place, a very long law, and this law was implemented years before Bitcoin was even invented, where they're not allowed to hold an asset that they've confiscated on the basis of making a profit from it. They have to get rid of it. That is why Germany's government sold off their Bitcoins. Now, the timing could be interesting on why they chose that particular time to sell off their Bitcoins. But there is a law in place in Germany. Now, on the basis of this law, similar something to this law being inside the United States, I would have to look upon the United States law books and see if there's some sort of an act where, the United States government isn't allowed to hold something that they've confiscated from an illegal activity. And this is what was essentially Silk Road was a dark web marketplace where people were using Bitcoin to buy things they shouldn't have on this dark web marketplace. And the United States obviously, confiscated the Bitcoins from Silk Road. So does the United States also maybe have some sort of law in place where they're not allowed to hold something that's, confiscated on the basis of making a profit from it? I don't know. I have to look inside essentially the United States government law books to see if there's some sort of law about it. But I'm very doubtful the United States have something similar to Germany's law in place at all. So I don't think they're going to be doing that whatsoever inside the United States. So on the speculation of is the United States going to be selling off their Bitcoins, my answer would be no. I don't think the United States is going to be selling off their Bitcoins. I don't think there's a law in place like that. That's similar to Germany's law, where they're not allowed to hold something just to make profit from it, something that they've confiscated. So I don't think it's something like that inside the United States in terms of a law. But I wanted to share that with everyone just in case some people start spreading lies. The US has to sell it off because Germany has to sell it off and so on. I just wanted to point that out so in case somebody starts spreading lies and rumors. Just because Germany's government has a law, that means the US have to sell it off as well. No. There's the law like that. I've never essentially heard it from the United States government any sort of a way. But regarding, do I think they're going to be selling off their Bitcoins? No. Do I think somewhere down the line the US government is going to be selling off some of their Bitcoins? Yes. But I can't see the United States government selling off all their Bitcoins. It's just not possible at all. Even if they wanted to manipulate the market space, they wouldn't. Because above the United States government essentially is the corporations that are in charge, which is BlackRock, which is essentially Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or Vanguard. These are the corporations that are leading the charge. If the United States government did some sort of a movement of selling off their Bitcoins, it would damage BlackRock. It would impact them quite bad. It would impact essentially, even if you believe it or not, Vanguard will get impacted as well. Now, Vanguard doesn't have a Bitcoin ETF, but Vanguard is a majority shareholder, essentially Marathon Digital, which is Marathon Riot, which is one of the biggest crypto Bitcoin mining corporations out there. So Vanguard will get impacted quite bad. BlackRock will get impacted. ARK Invest will get, so many corporations inside the United States, even banks would get impacted. Even pension funds would get impacted. So that's all the things to consider when you come to the conclusion of the United States could sell off all their Bitcoins. But if they did that, Wisconsin's pension fund would get essentially impacted quite bad. Jersey City would essentially get impacted quite bad because they've all invested into Bitcoin ETFs, pension funds, United States pension funds, in a ridiculous amounts. I mean, Wisconsin is in about essentially $160 million of Bitcoin ETFs so far being declared with the SEC filings. The S1 filings show which corporations inside the United States are holding Bitcoin ETFs. So it's all factual information that you can go and check on the S1 filings and the SEC. So you can see, pension funds, massive corporations inside the United States, BlackRock and so on, they're all holding Bitcoin ETFs. So even if you, think to yourself, or you start believing the rumors, just think to yourself, the United States wouldn't do that because it would hurt their pension funds. It would also hurt their corporations, which would mean essentially would hurt their economy if they drop the Bitcoin on the markets. So if they ever do sell, it's going to be some. They're never going to drop the entire bag on the market space because that will impact the market heavily. It will impact their corporations and their pension funds, which would essentially damage their economy. And they're holding quite a lot. We're talking about essentially 27,799 Bitcoins. 27,799 Bitcoins. That would damage their economy quite bad. Their corporations are holding it. Their pension funds are holding it. Their banks are holding it in the United States. That's not going to be essentially any sort of a positive way for them as an outcome. So if anybody ever tries to tell you the United States is going to drop their Bitcoins in the market space, it will just hurt their own economy. And they will never do that to themselves. They might sell some, but they'll never drop the entire bag because of their pension funds, banks, and corporations that are holding it. Now, Wisdom Tree's CEO has a new perspective on the market space. And he said, crypto is going mainstream. There's a perspective from Wisdom Tree's CEO. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see where we were. We were at here. Dennis, thank you for the $7.99 Australian dollars. Appreciate everyone. Much love. Let's go. Does that mean that Solana is a big player? Does that mean Solana is a big player? It's a player. I wouldn't say it's a big player, but I would say it's a player. Good evening, family. Hi, Miles. Sorry I missed you guys yesterday. Stormy, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Does that mean that Solana isn't a big player? And will Solana flop? Solana would only flop if the meme section comes to an end. It's the only basis Solana is being used on. If you think about it, is Solana being used because, and again, if you are holding Solana, I wish you the best. If you're holding any cryptocurrency, let me just put that out there. If you're holding any cryptocurrency and you believe in their projects and you believe in their ideas, then I wish you the best and I hope everybody makes a lot of money. Now, bring that to one side. If you're holding Solana, just keep one thing in mind. What's keeping Solana alive, pretty much, with a pulse, is memes. Just keep that in mind as well. So does that mean that Solana is a big player and Solana will flop? I wouldn't say it will flop, but just keep in mind that memes are the ones that are giving Solana a pulse. Feel it too hot to sleep tonight. Hi, Miles. Hope you're well. Zach, good to see you. How you doing? Ian, thank you for the £10 donation. Going straight to the essentially CMF hedge fund as well. BlackRock saving the money for XRP. Crashing 12 times. Doesn't fit the bar. Lol. Crashing 12 times doesn't fit the bar. And also, Bone Crusher, thank you so much for $19.99. Thanks so much for $20. Absolutely amazing. Sign me up, big bro. Let's go, Bone Crusher. All the money that's being raised on these live shows is going to go straight into the CMF hedge fund. These are the first initial payments to the CMF hedge fund. It's absolutely amazing. Thanks so much for everyone for the donations. So Ian, thank you so much for donations again, and Bone Crusher, thanks so much for donations as well. And Sam, your big bro, problem. You're already in. Remember, they say one thing but do the opposite. Exactly. And also, Solana crashing 12 times doesn't really fit the portfolio. What JP said is facts. When is the case over? I see no clarity. This year is going to be over. Jim, the Ripple case, SEC case, it will be over this year, without a doubt. Family, whatever we all give, we'll get back tenfold. Facts. Let's go here. Miles, yeah, honestly, anyone that's doing donations is going to go straight into the CMF hedge fund, and over time, everybody's going to profit from the CMF hedge fund. So what Ian said is facts. Miles, what can you tell me about Viot and RenderCoin? Regarding RenderCoin, is a good project on the basis of what they're trying to achieve in their partnerships that they have going for themselves. Viot, on the other hand, is also a brilliant project. Viot is a part of IBM. Now, there was a study test that was essentially done that the top corporations that are going to be leading the blockchain space era, essentially for years to come, for the next decade. And IBM was #1 of the next corporations that's going to be leading the blockchain wave. And IBM also has a budget of essentially $500 million ready to be invested into AI projects. And I'm not saying they're going to be investing $500 million into essentially Viot in any sort of a way, but they can give them some sort of an access. So they are partnered with IBM on that basis. Their contracts are still there in place. They're doing some developments. US government seems like wants to go bankrupt. The US has no such law, which is true. Honest law. Germany. Let's go. Nice one, Miles. Let's go, Ian. Good job. The good peeps have control of BlackRock, Miles. Facts. What is the CMF hedge fund? So we're starting a CMF hedge fund. We're starting a CMF hedge fund and a CMF capital, essentially. CMF capital is going to be focused on, it's a branch of the CMF hedge fund, a department, let's say, but CMF capital is going to be focused on crypto projects. So it's going to be a crypto portfolio for CMF members, which every member of the CMF will have access to, essentially. And members of the CMF, some members of the CMF are also going to be essentially executive board members of the CMF hedge fund, the CMF capital. Now, the CMF hedge fund is going to be focused on physical assets in terms of commercial real estate and residential real estate, and gold and precious metals, in other words. And CMF capital is going to be focused on crypto projects, essentially, in terms of funding crypto startup companies, crypto AI companies, and entire crypto portfolios. What's going to be happening. So that's what the CMF hedge fund is, essentially. And every member of the CMF is, going to be a part of it. And how you become a member of the CMF is very easy. Follow me, and also join a Telegram group of the CMF, which is completely free. Everything that I do for a year and a half now, it's been completely free, and will always still stay free as well, because education is free, as I've always said. So how to become a member of the CMF? 1, follow me on X, follow me on YouTube. 2, join the CMF on Telegram. Now, Sherry, how do I join? By the way, if you want to join the CMF on Telegram as well, the link is on X and on YouTube. And Shelly, thank you so much for helping out people inside the comment section as well. Now, Wisdom Tree. Wisdom Tree CEO. Wisdom Tree CEO said crypto is going to go mainstream. Crypto is going to go mainstream as regulatory clarity, publicly traded crypto funds, and real-world assets, tokenization for adoption. Jonathan Steinberg, founder and CEO and essentially of asset manager Wisdom Tree, said in an interview on CNBC. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's July 27th speech at the Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville, Tennessee, highlighted how the U.S. political leaders are softening on crypto and may soon provide the industry with much-needed regulatory clarity, Steinberg said. The former U.S. president could not have spoken in a more ambitious tone for what he would do with crypto and Bitcoin as an asset class, Steinberg said in an interview with CNBC. His Wisdom Tree CEO. He's promising regulatory clarity for crypto and digital assets broadly, Steinberg said, and I think that will have a very positive effect on not just crypto, the asset class, which is really only half the story, but also blockchain-enabled finance. #1 category inside the crypto space, I've always said, is the finance category, which is essentially XRP, XLM, XDC, ACH as well, and H4 in some cases as well. Steinberg said he expects the prevailing narrative around crypto to essentially expand beyond core assets like Bit. As I've said, the finance category is the #1 category inside the crypto space. And then it goes to the data category second, and everything else follows after it in terms of Web3, AI, and so on, gaming, and metaverse projects, and so on. Because even Steinberg said, CEO of Wisdom Tree, He said that he expects the prevailing narrative around crypto to expand beyond the core assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Beyond Bitcoin, Ethereum is going to expand the core assets, essentially. Now, to encompass the asset tokenizations more broadly. Crypto is an asset class, and then there is this broader tokenization of real-world assets. We will see it all essentially mixing in, and Steinberg said that we're moving towards programmable money. This is, again, Wisdom Tree's CEO. We are moving towards programmable money. Number one category, finance. I've said this since last year inside the crypto space. This is coming from Wisdom Tree's CEO. We're moving towards programmable money. What's programmable money? Well, let's just quick think. Programmable money is CBDC. One platform is doing CBDCs. 24,000 crypto projects, only one is doing CBDCs. One has a CBDC platform. One CBDC platform is actually being used in a particular jurisdiction in Paolo. And that one CBDC platform essentially also has won multiple CBDC awards. It's called XRP. Wisdom Tree launched its first crypto exchange-traded fund, ETF Wisdom Tree Bitcoin Fund, in January and has submitted their registration filings for their Ethereum ETFs inside United States regulators as well. Meanwhile, the real-world asset market is projected to reach $2 trillion by 2030, according to essentially multiple analysts. Now, traditional financial institutions are already beginning to enter the market for tokenized real-world assets with products such as BlackRock's USD Institutional Liquidity Fund, IBILT, and Franklin's on-chain US government money fund, FOBXX. Goldman Sachs is preparing to launch 3 new tokenization products later this year as well. Launched less than 4 months ago, BlackRock's BILT currently holds more than $500 million worth of tokenized treasuries, according to Ethereum block explorer EtherScan. So, honestly, if you think about it, as I've said multiple times, number one category is the finance category inside the entire crypto space. Money going digital is more important than any other feature inside the blockchain space. Now, tokenizations is just essentially another new avenue stream, which is the same category within finance. No one category inside the crypto space is money. Money going digital. So XRP, XLM, XDC. And then you have Wisdom Tree's CEO saying the category you should be focused on is what's happening is programmable money is what's happening right now. He said they're focused on programmable money. Programmable money is another word for CBDC. 24,000 crypto projects, one is doing CBDCs. Everybody's at the crypto space, 24,000 crypto projects. There's the gaming category, there's so much competition, Web3 competition, data competition, AI competition, metaverse competition, but only one out of 24,000 crypto projects is in CBDCs. Only one has a CBDC platform, only one is with the Bank of International Settlements on a PDF token tied to cross-border payments, and only one has multiple CBDC awards, actual CBDC awards. It's not rocket science at this point. It's called XRP. Bitcoin ownership stirs centralization concerns. Something that I did say essentially a few nights ago as well is that this topic that's been discussed a while ago, regarding Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is for everybody. It's the people coin. If you want to be a part of the human civilization, part of the people, not the governments or the centralization, you go for Bitcoins because it's part of the people. Now, for over a year and a half, I've been saying that's completely absurd, because nothing wrong with Bitcoin in that aspects. Love that Bitcoin started the whole thing off, let's just say. So nothing wrong with it in any sort of way. But the misconception and misinformation around the Bitcoin is the people token, I've always said that it's not technically, because I've said there are multiple governments holding substantial amount of Bitcoin, and there are massive corporations controlling the mining infrastructures. So who's really in control? The people, or the massive corporations, or the governments that are holding massive portfolios, also controlling the mining institutions? 5 large, massive mining institutions are controlling pretty much the entire network of Bitcoin. And they're all based in the United States. And then you also have the US government holding a substantial amount of Bitcoin, Russia's government, Iran's government, North Korea's government. And this just goes on, the amount of governments that are holding Bitcoin. And then the list goes on with the amount of corporations holding Bitcoin and the banks holding Bitcoin. And the infrastructure itself, the mining infrastructures. massive corporations, which the majority shareholder of one of them is BlackRock and Vanguard. And that's the biggest one, Marathon Digital. And I've always said this for a very long time. While people have been rummaging on about it's the people coin, it's the people coin, Bitcoin is the people coin. And then I've also, essentially been repeated by Edward Snowden. So at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, Edward Snowden, essentially a man that used to work for the NSA, who essentially revealed to the whole world how the NSA was spying on people. He revealed all this information during Obama's presidency in Hong Kong, now lives in Moscow, Russia. He also, essentially attended the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, obviously through Zoom because he can't leave Moscow. But he essentially made some comments as well regarding, Bitcoin, essentially, regarding how it has some security concerns and how you're not really in control. And that it's not really autonomous, essentially, payments as people might think it is, or how you can hide your transactions, because you really can't. On the topic of, hiding your transactions on Bitcoin, it's a public chain. Even if you transfer it, as I said, to 1,000 different wallets, the end result will be you spending it on buying a boat, a house, a car, or something. And that's when it knows your wallet. So the private issue is not really private in any sort of way. It's a public blockchain that will be able to track it to you, even if you send that payment to 1,000 different wallets. Now, putting all the things that I said aside and being repeated by Edward Snowden after a year and a half, now there's some other concerns coming out, which is the centralization issues, which the word centralization doesn't go with Bitcoin if you tell it to a Bitcoin. Essentially, if you tell it to a Bitcoin maxi, if you say to a Bitcoin maxi that Bitcoin is centralized, they will say, that's crazy. Bitcoin is not centralized. It's for the people. It's the people token. But obviously, they don't comprehend the amount of corporations, banks, infrastructures, in terms of mining institutions, or governments holding massive portfolios. So here's some information. Bitcoin ownership stirs centralization concerns. This is after Edward Snowden making those massive speeches. Bitcoin, the foremost cryptocurrency since its inception in 2009, has been very significant in statements from notable figures like Trump. A pressing concern now is the potential risk of centralization if 99% of Bitcoin is held by just 1% of holders. Bitcoin supply distribution analysis. Data from BitInfo charts reveals that only 1.86% of Bitcoin wallets, approximately 1 million addresses, hold a staggering 90% of the cryptocurrency supply. 1 million wallets hold a staggering 90% of the cryptocurrency supply. These wallets belong to major players such as large whales, institutional investors, and early adopters of Bitcoin. Essentially, the concern in the world of 8 billion people is noteworthy and alarming. Caroline Blorer, essentially of the duty of this concentration, while it offers strategic essentially market advantage and exclusive opportunities to large investors, it also poses risk of market manipulation, centralization, and liquidity constraints. Implementations of wallet concentration. Exploding topic data shows that approximately 46 million Bitcoin wallets have assets worth at least $1. With half holding over $100 in Bitcoin. Surprisingly, 104 addresses manage close to 16% of the total supply. Blower warns that if Bitcoin becomes fully centralized in a few wallet addresses, it will be profoundly alter Bitcoin's ecosystem, undermining essentially the decentralization and possibly leading to market manipulation and regulatory scrutiny. These are some bullet points. Key takeaways for investors. Market manipulation. High concentration lead to significant price swings with large transactions. Regulatory attention. Increased centralization may attract stricter regulations. Strategic opportunities. Major holders can leverage their positions for significant market impact. Decentralization threat. Core principle of Bitcoin could be compromised. Exchange concentration. Many large wallets belong to exchanges, indicating a broader investor base behind them. Philip Lord points out that while large holdings offer market control, they do not grant authority to alter the Bitcoin protocol, which they don't, but they can manipulate the price heavily. Despite centralization risks, the focus remains on profits. Evidenced by the interest is proposals like Luma's suggestion for US to acquire 1 million BTC. So Trump obviously did make this speech, and so did essentially Senator Cynthia Lummis. Senator Cynthia Lummis made the speech at the Bitcoin conference that the United States should be holding 1 million individual Bitcoins. Now, Lord emphasized that significant market influence does not equate to control of the Bitcoin's protocol changes, which require broad consensus from the community, which it does. However, in conclusion, Bitcoin's concentrated holdings present both opportunities and challenges with implications for market dynamics and regulatory landscapes. The balance between decentralization and central control remains a critical issue for the cryptocurrency's future, for Bitcoin's future, essentially, is what's going on right now. So, just to put in perspective, I've said this for over a year and a half. It's not the people's coin. It was never the people's coin. The moment the corporations, and it's not a bad thing. Let me just put it out there as well. With the amount of corporations and banks and governments in place, it's not really a bad thing for Bitcoin because the price goes higher and higher, and you can make a much more larger profit. But please, just stop. For anybody that's a Bitcoin maxi out there, just stop saying to yourself, Bitcoin's the people's token, Bitcoin's the people's coin, and so on. It really isn't. And it can be manipulated just like any other asset heavily. Because everybody goes on about the Bitcoin maxis, that essentially is an asset that's untouchable. Bitcoin is untouchable. It's number one. It's the best. It's the best out there. It's the people's token. It's the people's freedom. Yeah, massive governments, massive banks, massive corporations, and even the mining infrastructures, 5 massive corporations are leading the charge. 1 million wallets are controlling about 90% of the assets movements. Just put it out there. Now, again, that does equal to more money for anybody that's still holding on. The reason why Bitcoin reached new heights recently, that reaching that 73,000 target, essentially was 73,000 target was because the Bitcoin ETFs. A lot of people said that, oh yeah, the Bitcoin ETFs were, essentially the retail section. The retail section boosted Bitcoin to new heights with the Bitcoin ETFs. Now, the S1 filings obviously show a different type of evidence, which is the corporations were the reason why Bitcoin reached new heights, not the essentially the retail section any sort of way, which is also something that I said. It's the corporations that are pushing Bitcoin to new heights, not the retail section for the Bitcoin ETFs. But yeah, just to point that out, just wanted to get that information out there. That next time somebody tells you Bitcoin is the people's token, just remind them with the amount of banks, corporations, infrastructure, mining infrastructures, and governments that are holding Bitcoin. And if they still say it's the people's token, just ignore them, because it's like talking to a brick wall. Everything you say will just bounce off. Literally will just bounce off. Now, US SEC is being sued. So Gary Gensler is having a very tough time by the looks of it once again. And he is being sued over NFT claims, a topic that hasn't been raised inside the crypto space for a very long time. And NFTs obviously have disappeared off the field, let's just be honest with ourselves. But before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see where we were. Script Mouse family, one word on Telegram. Let's go. Shelly, also your gym. Yes, Shelly, thank you so much for helping people out. And Peg, thank you so much for the $10 donation as well. Shiva Dog shaking his head and hips, saying thank you. Let's go, Peg. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Hope you're doing great. David, good to see you as well. How you doing? Nice one, Peg. Let's go. Miles, love you, bro. Ian, love you too, brother. Jim Roberts, I got here late. My condolences, prayers for you and your family. Let's go. Honestly. Now, SEC. Brian L., a legal professor, essentially and an artist, has sued the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, in an L.A. court for making NFTs securities under its regulation. This lawsuit by Fry is coming essentially at a time when there is a debate on how to categorize digital art assets. The U.S. SEC sued over NFT art regulations. According to a recent filing, the core of essentially Fry's lawsuit revolves around his view that the SEC's interpretation of securities laws are too broad and do not promote artists who use NFTs as their medium. Fry's Dogecoin professor of law has been always questioning what he considers traditional, essentially, interpretations of legal works, especially such as his SEC no action letter request, and artwork. In this project, according to him, it was an unregistered security based on this kind of Howey test, essentially which neither he received any response from the SEC regarding whether or not it is unregistered security. Fry's latest litigation explores how securities legislation impacts digital assets and controversial art markets. He argues that by taking his position, SEC restricts creativity among artists by imposing unnecessary barriers to entry into NFT space. The attorney of Fry, Jason, pointed out that this case would essentially safeguard digital art rights as well as puts SEC within regulatory limitations. Rule of NFTs and art and regulations. Fry's lawsuit also underscores the broad implications of NFT regulations in the art market. NFTs on non-fungible tokens have surged in potential among artists selling digital art, often fetching high prices at auctions. However, the legal frameworks for NFTs is still unclear, as the US SEC has suggested that some NFTs could be considered securities, thereby requiring to be considered securities, which is absurd. According to Fry's complaint, art and especially digital art sold as NFTs should not be treated as securities. This approach opposes the SEC's use of the Howey test as a legal criteria developed in the 1940s to assess whether a certain transaction should be considered an investment contract. According to Fry, this approach of the SEC is unhelpful because all transactions are contrasted from business transactions, are often based on the subjective qualities of artwork. The SEC's accusations essentially of this overreach. The case has gathered much attention, especially because of Jason Fry's attorney on social media, and also Jason, an early defendant of the defendants in a debit box case in Utah, which was rather infamous of the resignation of several members of the SEC and shutting down of the SEC's Utah branch. Now, debit box was obviously when Gary Gensler's SEC branch lied in court to a judge and said that debit box was stealing people's assets and transferring them overseas. Turned out to be completely false information, and that the SEC could not provide any sort of factual information about the matter, which essentially led to the judge ruling in favor of debit box and scrutinizing the SEC, making a penalty for them. The two SEC lawyers had to leave, and the SEC department closed down of that branch. Now, XRP lawyers, Meta Law Man, pointed out that essentially Jason was instrumental in revealing dirty tactics in the SEC during the case, and has involvements in Fry's case may cause mayhem within the SEC. This same lawyer that went up against the SEC and won in the debit box case and showed genuinely the dirty tactics that Gary Gensler and his SEC lawyers use. Now, he's involved in this case as well, going up against the SEC once again. Moreover, with Gary Gensler at the helm, the SEC's case has intensified its crackdowns on the crypto space as well, raising questions about the regulations of digital assets. Therefore, the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, has also claimed in on the matter, vowing to remove Gary Gensler from office on his first day back as president if he wins the election. As reported by CoinGate, Trump essentially had blasted the SEC for its tough stance on digital assets, promising to put an end to the anti-crypto stance crusade and the essential prosecution of weaponizations of digital assets, which is all true regarding what Trump said, regarding SEC obviously weaponizing their tools within themselves and so on. Now, what I'm loving about this whole story is the same lawyer that went up against the SEC and revealed their dirty tactics to the judge is the same lawyer going up against the SEC once again, and this time he's going after Gary Gensler essentially for calling. So this particular lawyer that won against the SEC on the debit box case and showed the dirty tactics got the two SEC lawyers sacked. Essentially, they were fired from their jobs. This same lawyer that did all these things is the same lawyer that's going up against Gary Gensler now. So I'm hoping he shows the dirty tactics that Gary Gensler uses in court. And maybe we can see Gary Gensler sacked before even Trump makes it the presidency, which is even better to see as well. But obviously, Trump comes to the presidency, even better, because he will have a better control of the market space than Sleepy Joe or the other one, Goldfish. And Goldfish in this general topic is essentially, the one that's Kamala Harris, Goldfish. Now, you're wondering why am I calling her Goldfish? It's because she shares the same IQ or essentially brain cells as a goldfish. And now Slovenia launches EU's first digital sovereign bond via BNP. Slovenia has issued the first digital sovereign bond in the European Union. The bond was issued and placed by BNP. It had essentially a nominal size of 30 million euros, 32.5 million essentially with a 3.65 coupon and a maturity date of 25, essentially November 25th, according to Slovenian Finance Ministry. Now, just to put in perspective, Slovenia is not the first country essentially to be doing any sort of digital bonds. The first one to do it was actually Switzerland, and they've been doing it for over 2 years now. Switzerland has been doing quite a lot of digital bonds, which were all successful. I mean, the highest one they did was around 250 million, which was a high number, and it was, again, successful testings. So this is something that's happening quite common now in terms of digital bonds on a wide basis. Even the US is, going towards digital bonds as well. So Slovenia has issued their first digital Slovenian bond in the European Union. BNB used its Neobonds platform for this bond issue. Neobonds is a distributed ledger technology tool that uses digital asset Dalam language on the Catalan blockchain. Settlement was carried out on the Banque de France, Central Bank of France, DL3S interoperability system. BNP has two tokenizing platforms. The bond issue is a part of the European Central Bank, ECB, Wholesale Central Bank Money Settlement Experimentation Program. That program announced the beginning of its second phase in June as well. 3 interoperability solutions are included in the program. Besides France DL3S, Deutsche Bank has also triggered a solution, and Bank de Italy, which is the Central Bank of Italy, and the Central Bank of essentially Deutsche, TIPS Hashlink are being trailed as well. A lot of things are happening inside the banking world right now as we speak. BNP Paribas CIB Chief Operating Officer Philippe said in a statement, "This transaction was made possible by leveraging the strengths of BNP Paribas' integrated and diversified model across business lines, including global markets, AML treasuries, security services, FIC official institutions coverage, and BNP Paribas asset management. Besides Neobonds, BNP Paribas operates the Asset Foundries, a tokenization platform based on Ethereum. BNP Paribas was one of the original participants in the Catalan network, along with such institutions as Cboe Global Markets, Paxos, Microsoft, Goldman Sachs, and Dilute, when the blockchain debuted in 2023. More digital bonds issued all the time. Digital bond issues are generally joining the financial mainstream. The World Bank issued the first bond on the blockchain essentially in 2019. And 2019 was the first time essentially a first digital bond was introduced by the World Bank. The People's Bank of China issued a bond on-chain later in the same year. Hong Kong issued an essentially 800 million Hong Kong dollar, roughly $100 million, tokenized green bond in 2023. The island's nation of Paolo partnered with the Japanese blockchain company Somatos on a government bond platform earlier this month, did the same thing. Austria carried out a essentially simulated digital bond settlement on secondary markets in May during the first part of the ECB experimentations. Italy's state-owned essentially Cassa Depositi issued a digital bond worth $27.2 million on Polygon using TIPS Hashlink solution as well. Yeah, in the banking world, a lot of things are happening, especially towards bonds, tokenizations, in terms of cross-border or wholesale CBDCs. It's what mostly happening inside the banking world right now. And just on that repeat, the World Bank did their first ever digital bond in terms of digital bonds for wholesale CBDCs in 2019. And it was successful in 2019. When did we have COVID? And in COVID, didn't the world transition from cash to digital? 2019, just to put on a timeline, 2019, the World Bank issued its first digital bonds on a blockchain network. 2019, the World Bank. Test, successful, 2019. COVID comes around, ironically, what a coincidence. And people move away from cash, studies are there, to Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay. Not only that, but during COVID, what also happened? People transitioned to blockchain, crypto payments, essentially crypto payments, getting people used to essentially digital wallets. And some people till this day won't use cash because why? It carries germs. 2019, World Bank, COVID comes around. Coincidence? what I would say is an interesting timeline. Is what I would say. A very, very interesting timeline. Nothing in this world is a coincidence. Not a single major thing in this world is a coincidence. If it's a small thing, coincidence, sure. But if it's on a major scale, do you really think it's a surprise to them? Do you think the World Economic Forum gets surprised? Bank of International Settlements gets surprised? International Monetary Fund gets surprised? No. We get surprised. They pretend to be surprised. 2019, World Bank, digital bonds, successful testing on a blockchain. COVID comes around, everybody moves away from cash. Based on a question also somebody asked me yesterday, and which was, why are people going for Bitcoin? Why are people going for, why are these corporations going for Bitcoin? Why are these governments going for Bitcoin? They don't even know who owns Bitcoin. And I said, they know. Because they prepared us. Everything that's happening is preparation for what's going to happen next. But they're very good at pretending they're surprised. The way blockchain was introduced, to the people, everybody thought, yes, we're going against the system. But it's not possible. But they made it look like you could, though. They made it look like you could go against that system, use blockchain. It's the people's, time to shine. But it's just one big game. And if you know how to play the game correctly, you can benefit from it quite a lot. But don't be, essentially living in la-la land and thinking essentially things happen by surprise in this world. And that the governments were surprised about blockchain, or the Bank of International Settlements, the World Economic Forum, or the International Monetary Fund was surprised about blockchain. No, they're just very good at playing the role of surprise, because their timelines are very interesting always. Now, the next news on tonight's live show is regarding Galaxy CEOs, Galaxy CEOs, Mike Novoscott has came out and given his perspectives on Kamala Harris. Before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section. Let's see where we were. Also, Brother Miles of CMF, any XRP news? On regarding XRP news, not so much, no. Case updates, still waiting. 2019, exactly. Miles, we are what we are. Miles, we are what we are. We is what we is. Will always be what we be. Let's go, CMF. Let's go, Ian. That's my copyright. Let's go. Do you think the price of XRP will be high before adoption? Because if it will be too vital for banks. Do I think the price of XRP is going to be high after the, obviously, case you're referring to? Do I think the price of XRP is going to be high after the case, and but before the adoption? So it will be high, but not the high that you're expecting if it's before the adoption. If it's during the adoption, then it's obviously going to be very high. And if it's after the adoption completely, then it's going to be extremely high. But if it's before the adoption, it's going to be high, nevertheless. Anything, at this price point we're sitting is going to be high. But do I think the price of XRP will be high before the adoption? Yes, it's going to be high, but not the high that you're expecting. The high that you're expecting is going to be during the adoption and after the adoption. That's my copyright. But on the timeline of during the adoption and after the adoption, I mean, it's not that far off. 2024 to 2027 is basically the timeline, which means it has to get to a certain price point to reach that high price point. So it has to reach a certain price point now and a certain price point next year and next year to get to that, level. So it won't be, it's this price now, and then, it doesn't do anything until when it reaches that time and it suddenly shoots up to a high level. No, it's going to be progressive price. And you're going to be a part of that progressive price on the journey. And obviously you have the option of jumping out or staying along for a higher price point and borrowing against your assets and using, essentially, skipping on tax because you can't get tax on debt. That's my correct. Let's go. Up or down or sideways? Sideways for the time being. No one dares to mention who owns Bitcoin miles. Facts. And also what Davey put, 2019 COVID. 2019, the World Bank does testings on digital bonds on blockchain. And obviously, just remember one thing, one main thing. At the beginning of blockchain, what did governments do at the beginning of blockchain? They keep, putting aside the World Bank doing first digital bonds on a blockchain 2019, during when? COVID times. So putting that to one side of the timeline, what was the first initial reaction of governments about blockchain? Stay away from blockchain. When the government tells you to stay away from someone, what do people tend to do? When the government says, don't do this, what do people tend to do? Not stay away. World Bank, 2019, first issuings of digital bonds. 2019, COVID. People move away from cash. Testing was successful. World Bank. Then government says, stay away from blockchain. 2019, they used blockchain. Successful testings. After that, stay away from blockchain. It's bad. Blockchain is bad, but testing successful, World Bank. But blockchain bad. And that's their first initial thing. Blockchain bad. Stay away. And what do people tend to do when the government says, stay away? It's bad. Don't do this. They tend to do the opposite. It's like basic reverse psychology. And everybody ran. But, again, it's just one big game. Know how to play the game, you get the benefit from the game. How you benefit from the game is if you can't join them, beat them. I'm not saying blockchain is, but I love blockchain. I have a blockchain startup company. I think the technology of blockchain is amazing. It's revolutionary, definitely. But the ideology of people, no, it's all one big game. Just learn how to play the game properly, and you can benefit a lot. And how playing that game properly is XRP. Now, big dogs. Bless you, boss. Love from Amsterdam. Let's go. I deal with the kid. When will adoption start? The closer we get to more regulations. I just moved to a laptop. Let's go with house. He means after the case and before the adoption. What will the price be? After the case, the price will be 1 to 2 to 5 max. It will drop back down because people have been holding for 6-7 years. They'll sell off. It will shoot back up again. After the adoption, before the adoption, after the case, yeah. Afterwards, it's going to go 5, above 5, 6, 7, 10, higher and higher and higher and higher. Where are Shelly and JP, my mom's colleagues? Miles, what's your take on Ripple's donation to Trump campaign? Yes, it is true. Trump did make essentially a Ripple CLO did make a donation of $300,000, which is about 600,000 XRP. So a Ripple CLO Stewart, he made a donation to Trump's campaign, and he kept very silent on it as well, on him making a donation of XRP to Trump. But obviously Trump is not holding XRP. Any donations that are sent to Trump, they get instantly turned into USDC. So if they send Trump Bitcoin donations, Ethereum donations, XRP donations, Solana donations, it all turns into USDC. But they're obviously trying to aim it for, they're trying to aim it for that basis. They're trying to get the politicians on board. They flock to it, Miles? Yep. Do you think ACH has the potential to 10x during this bull? Thank you. Roscoe, yes. But that's also inside the finance space as well. So regulations is what it really needs. It wasn't controllable, Miles. Facts. Davey, let's go. Now, a Galaxy CO, but it's just Shelly. They just want to be on both sides. I mean, Ripple's playing both sides. They're donating to Trump, So Ripple's CLO donating to Trump, and on the other side, essentially, Ripple's saying give Kamala Harris a chance. They're playing both sides, mainly because they want to see what the outcome is going to be. Now, Galaxy CEO Digital is what I would say. They're just playing both sides. Galaxy CEO Digital warns Kamala Harris against Senate Warren's anti-crypto stance. Galaxy CEO's Digital, Mike Novoscott, has taken a strong stand against Senator Elizabeth Warren's anti-crypto position. In a recent podcast, he urged the US Vice President Kamala Harris to distance herself from Warren's views. Notably, this comment also highlights the growing importance of digital asset space in the upcoming US election. Also, Donald Trump's recent shift towards a pro-crypto stance has fueled discussions over the matter. You know what's funny is Mike, essentially, CEO Mike of Galaxy Digital, has said to Kamala Harris to stay away from Senator Elizabeth Warren's anti-crypto stance. What's anti-crypto position? What's funny about this is Kamala Harris, Biden administration, anti-crypto stance. So Mike Novoscott is telling Kamala Harris to stay away from Elizabeth Warren because she's anti-crypto and her anti-crypto opinions. But so is Kamala Harris. She's the same person in the Biden administration that was trying to veto anything congressmen were coming out for pro-crypto innovation. She's the same person that tried to veto anything. She's the same person that stood with Trump and essentially backing Gary Gensler. So who's going to tell Kamala Harris to stay away from Kamala Harris's thoughts? Is basically what's going on. Because how can you tell Kamala Harris to stay away from Elizabeth Warren because of her anti-crypto position, anti-crypto thoughts, when Kamala Harris has anti-crypto positions and anti-crypto thoughts? She's the same person that tried to veto anything. Notably, this comment also highlights the growing importance of digital assets space in the upcoming election. Also, Donald Trump's recent shift towards a pro-crypto stance has fueled discussions over this matter. Mike Novoscott warns VP Vice President Kamala Harris during the podcast. Mike Novoscott did not hold back in his criticism of Elizabeth Warren. He emphasized the necessities for the Biden administration to take a more favorable stance towards cryptocurrencies. Kamala Harris is basically the Biden administration. But obviously, Mike Novoscott has, no criticism of Kamala Harris because she's the angel in the group, apparently, and the rest of the Biden administration are evil people. But Kamala Harris is apparently an angel inside the Biden administration. I don't know where Mike Novoscott essentially, I don't know who's feeding Mike Novoscott these informations to say on podcasts. But again, Kamala Harris, same person that vetoed pretty much anything pro-crypto innovation in the Biden administration. He emphasized the necessity of Biden administration to take a more favorable stance towards cryptocurrencies. This is what he said. He said, your administration's economic policy advisor, Elizabeth Warren, has an anti-crypto army banner ad. Start by distancing yourself from that. He said, pointing to Kamala Harris. How about you start distancing yourself from Kamala Harris? Because she's anti-crypto. She always has been. And she always will be. Mike Novoscott believes that the Biden administration has been slow to address the significance of cryptocurrencies in the political landscape. Yeah. Do you know why, Mike Novoscott? The Biden administration has been slow on, essentially becoming pro-crypto. Yeah, Kamala Harris. Slow. Meanwhile, the Galaxy's CEO has also pointed out that politics is a critical battlefield for crypto. Bit common sense there. And he mentioned that Ryan, who has been vocally advocating for crypto on X and even pushed for former President Donald Trump to take a position on the matter, according to him, the Democrats only started to pay attention to cryptocurrencies when it became a political issue. In other words, when they were losing. However, despite his criticism, Mike Novoscott acknowledged that not only Democrats share Warren's anti-crypto stance, this indicates a potential divide within the party on the approach to digital cryptocurrencies and transparent crypto regulations. John Deaton slams Elizabeth Warren as well, Pro-XRP lawyer John Deaton, also challenging Elizabeth Warren politically, supported Mike Novoscott's statements. Deaton retreated the need for Kamala Harris to distance herself from Warren's anti-crypto position. In addition, he highlighted Massachusetts' various cries, including migration, debt, and essentially the epidemic that's going on. And he contrasted these issues with Warren's focus on building an anti-crypto army. Meanwhile, Deaton argued that Warren's priorities were essentially misaligned with the needs of Massachusetts. He emphasized that he is not just a pro-crypto candidate, but a pro-crypto freedom advocate, believing that the government policies should foster innovation while protecting consumers. Deaton stated, when government implements policies fostering innovation while protecting consumers, Massachusetts will always win. The debate over cryptocurrency's role in the economy and politics is heating up. Yes, definitely. The comments from the Galaxy CEO underscores the growing importance of digital currencies in the political discourse. As the 2024 election cycle progresses, the stance on crypto could become a defining issue for candidates. It definitely can become. Yes, it definitely is also. But who, I really want to know who's paying off these people. And they're all incredibly wealthy, just to point it out as well. Galaxy's CEO, Mike Novoscott, incredibly intelligent man, incredibly intelligent and incredibly wealthy man. Mark Cuban, incredibly intelligent, incredibly wealthy. There's quite a lot of high-profile people coming out and saying Kamala Harris is pro-crypto. For 4 years, Kamala Harris was never pro-crypto. She pretty much vetoed any crypto innovation inside the United States. Also, she also vetoed anything that was against the Biden administration. Kamala Harris was the same person, just to point it out, Kamala Harris was the exact same person that said TikTok is a Chinese app and that nobody should be using TikTok as a US citizen. Kamala Harris, same person. Kamala Harris also now has a TikTok account. But she's the same person that tried to ban TikTok. Just a simple example. Putting crypto to one side. Let's just make it more simpler for people. She's the same person that banned TikTok because she said it's a Chinese app. And she tried to remove it from the United States app stores. She wanted to force this company to sell TikTok. But now she has a TikTok account. She's the same person for 4 years did absolutely nothing. But now apparently for the next 4 years, she's going to achieve everything. She's the same person that for 4 years tried to veto any crypto innovation. But apparently for the next 4 years, she's going to bring crypto innovation. How? Big question, genuinely how? Because you had 4 years and you did nothing. You did nothing for the people of America. You did nothing for crypto innovation. You even tried to ban and stifle any sort of innovation. You tried to ban and stifle any sort of communication. TikTok. But now you have a TikTok account and now you're pro-crypto. So apparently for the next 4 years, you're going to change everything. Well, you had 4 years and you did nothing. What makes you think people are stupid enough to, essentially go to themselves, yes, for the next 4 years, you're definitely going to achieve everything. You're going to achieve the economics. You're going to stop the wars. You're going to become pro-crypto. Honestly, if people believe this BS on the news of she's pro-crypto, she's going to stop the wars, she's going to fix the economy. She had 4 years and she achieved nothing. What makes you think the next 4 years she's going to achieve everything? So I really don't know who and why these people are coming out. Why is Mark Cuban coming out of nowhere and saying she's pro-crypto? Mark Cuban is intelligent and wealthy, so he's definitely not being paid off. Mike Novoscott, intelligent and wealthy, he's definitely not being paid off. But why are they coming out and backing someone that did absolutely nothing for 4 years? But apparently she's going to do everything in the next 4 years. Pro-crypto, pro-this, pro-that, change the world, stop the wars, fix the economy. But 4 years, she did nothing. Now, RFK Jr. is the next topic we're going to be talking about on tonight's live show. RFK Jr., next topic on tonight's live show. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. By the way, the comment section is live Q&As, so which means if you're watching this on X right now, we are live, like every single night. It's called CMF live show you're watching right now. Stands for Crypto Mouse Family. We're also live on YouTube. That's where the comment section is mixed with YouTube comments and X comments. If you have a question, put it down inside the comment section. I read everyone's comments one by one, essentially answer quick as well, just to get the show up and running. But I respect everyone's comments because everyone's taking time of their day to, write the comments. So I'm going to respond by reading them out and giving a response. Miles, let me see where we were at. We were at here. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well, Shelly, regarding they're playing both sides. Yep. Miles think Ripple is giving a neutral position. Yep. Harris, Warren, upside down, pineapple all need to go away. Yep. She's the Clinton. She's the Obama. She's the Biden administration. Facts. Miles, I'm pissing myself laughing. Nice. Let's go, Ian. Me got full left. You got full left souvenirs then, brother. Let's go. She's on Trump's list too. Excellent explanation, Miles. Let's go through forever. We are what we are. We are what we are. We is what we is. Will always be what we be forever. More Miles copyright. Let's go, Ian. I'm actually scared this will be the reality. The future is not looking good if she does get up. Yep. I agree. I agree, Shirley. Evening, Miles and CMF Peg. Good to see you as well. Evening. How you doing? So, RFK Jr. moving away from Goldfish, which is Kamala Harris, going into RFK Jr. RFK Jr. Only Bitcoin can guarantee the US dollar's reserve currency status, is the statement he made. Bold statement. Presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., also known as RFK, believes policymakers inside the United States are quickly realizing that Bitcoin is inventable and are scrambling to develop a coherent digital asset strategy that will preserve American physical dominance. In an exclusive interview, this is from an exclusive interview with Cointelegraph at the 2024 Bitcoin conference in Nashville. Obviously, RFK Jr. did make some, announcements in the Bitcoin Nashville, but this is an interview after the announcements, an exclusive interview. This is what he said, essentially. So, at Tennessee, RFK Jr. described his Bitcoin journey in a greater detail before discussing the role of Bitcoin should play in the country's monetary systems. The presidential candidate who dropped his Democratic affiliation last October to run as an independent, he said he realized the importance of Bitcoin's transactional freedom. During the trucker strike in Canada, if you don't know what that is, essentially the truck drivers in Canada that were protesting, essentially, their bank accounts were frozen and seized. Essentially what Canada's government did, which no government should ever have the right to freeze and seize your money to silence you. At all. No government should ever have the right to freeze and seize you. Freeze and seize your money. Freeze and seize your assets to silence you. No government should have the right to that. No bank should have the right to that either. But unfortunately, we live in a different world, and they do have the right to that. And once we go into CBDCs, you thought freezing and seizing people's accounts was bad? Wait for CBDCs. The presidential candidate, obviously, who dropped out and essentially said that Bitcoin is transactional freedom during the trucker strike in Canada. He said this is why Bitcoin is good, because these things can't happen. By the way, this is RFK Jr. stating this in 2024. I said this in 2023, that cryptocurrencies are your ticket to freedom. I said that once CBDCs come, they're going to tell you where to sit, where to jump, where to eat, where to stand, where to sleep, where to go, where not to go, once CBDCs get implemented on a full scale. And obviously connect to your social credit system wallets, which is created for the West by the Bill Gates Melinda Foundation. Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation, two people that should be nowhere near anything you have as a belonging. But Bill Gates Melinda Foundation creating CBDC wallets, alongside credit system scores for the Western countries and also the World Economic Forum 2024 at the beginning of the year. But I said this in 2023. I said cryptocurrencies are your ticket to freedom. And once CBDCs get implemented, and your freedom's pretty much gone. They're going to tell you where to sit, where to eat, where to sleep, where to go, where you can't go. It's basically what's all on the way in terms of CBDC. People will say, no, that's absurd. The government can't tell me what to do. They already do. For the people that said the government can't tell me what to do, they already do. COVID was a test trial to see how far they can push your limits with an essentially imaginary disease. And people listened. Government said, wear a mask. People said, sure, why not? Government said, get a vaccine that's not being tested. People said, sure, why not? Sign me up. Government said, get a digital passport. People said, hell yes, give me a digital passport. A COVID passport, why not? So, apparently people are very easy to push around. It's not that difficult. So, once we get to CBDCs, it's going to be even better for them. But on the basis, I've always said cryptocurrency is your ticket to freedom. Because when they tell you to sit, stand, sleep, walk, and talk, and run, or where you can't go, where you can go, you can say, no, thank you. I have Bitcoin. No, thank you. I have Ethereum. No, thank you. I have XRP. No, thank you. I have XLM, XDC, Cardano, Solana, whatever you want to have, as long as it's a legitimate crypto asset. But you can say, no, thank you, because I have all those assets and I could do still what I want. But if you only have CBDCs, you're essentially a pet. When you tell your dog, good boy sit, good boy stand, good boy talk, that's what you essentially become on a CBDC if you don't have cryptocurrencies. And I've said this before, there was a study test in China, 1,400 people. CBDC wallets connected to social credit systems. There's a documentary about it, 1,400 people. And all these 1,400 people were rewarded points based on what they buy and where they go. If they bought salad, it was +1. If they bought alcohol, it was -1. And it was a study test. At the end of the study test, the 1,400 people loved the study test of being controlled like pets by the government. Now, obviously, till this day, I've always said, I don't know if those people were brain dead. We don't know. Because, the idea of people, a government telling you where to sit, where to stand, what to eat, where to go, where not to go, does not sound appealing whatsoever. But those 1,400 people love the idea. So that is what's headed your way, essentially. So, you might want to start looking into cryptocurrencies if you haven't, especially legitimate cryptocurrencies, because once all those rules and regulations comes, you don't really want to be the guy that's holding, camel token or essentially giraffe token or frog token when the regulations come and CBDCs get implemented, because while you could have held essentially Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, XLM, XDC, Solana, Cardano, whatever, AVAX, Chainlink, instead you're the guy holding camel token, frog token, cat token, dog token, thinking, yes, I've made it to freedom. Really? You want to go into CBDCs, betting your life on camel token, or frog token, or cat token, or Pepe's uncle, or Pepe's stepmother, or Pepe's step cousin? Really? You want to be that person? Going into regulations? I mean, everybody has a choice. It's your choice. You want to hold Pepe's step cousin instead of holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Chainlink, AVAX, Solana? Your choice. You can hold Pepe's step cousin going into regulations. But, once you get wrapped up in CBDCs, it's not going to be a good ride for you in any sort of a way. But there is a better way to play it as well. So obviously privacy tokens are 10 times better, privacy tokens. And the government's really trying to, restrict privacy tokens, because that's what it gets a little bit stricter for them to control. And actually, because it's not public chain anymore for them to be able to find out where you're sending transactions to. But even a better one than that, if you want full freedom, be the backbone of CBDCs. Full freedom is being the backbone of CBDCs. Okay, you can have cryptocurrencies. That's freedom as well. Going into CBDCs, you have cryptocurrencies. They tell you to do anything. You can say, no, thank you. I know I have Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever. And then you can have privacy coins for even more freedom. But here's a better option. Be the backbone. We're all going into CBDCs. Nobody can get away from it. It's not possible. The Bank of International Settlements and the International Monetary Fund are actually spearheading and forcing countries into it. Many countries declined CBDCs at the beginning, but after having one, essentially closed door meeting with the Bank of International Settlements, after that closed door meeting, those countries came out and said, yes, we do need a CBDC. They were the same countries that said there's no use for CBDCs. But after one meeting, yes, we need CBDCs. So 98% of the world is in CBDCs, by the way. So cryptocurrencies, ticket to freedom. Private tokens, better freedom. A better one, essentially a better one of cryptocurrencies and private tokens is being the backbone of CBDCs. 24,000 crypto projects, only one doing CBDCs. It's not rocket science. Only one of them, of these 24,000 crypto projects, has a CBDC platform. Only one of them is actually working with the Bank of International Settlements on a PDF document titled Cross-Border Payments. Underlying SWIFT, there's another company named Ripple. Public document, PDF document, factual information. Also, out of 24,000 crypto projects, only one crypto project has won CBDC awards. Did you even know there's a CBDC awards going out? There's a crypto project that's won all CBDC awards. 98% of the world is in CBDCs. Wholesale CBDCs for commercial businesses and banks. Then retail CBDC for the morons, which is essentially the peasants, which is the people. Everyone pretty much. Even me. Everyone will get a CBDC wallet, even if you have cryptocurrencies. So 90% of the world in CBDCs, 24,000 crypto projects. Only one is doing CBDCs, has a CBDC platform on that PDF token for the Bank of International Settlements, and has won multiple CBDC awards. And has access to 80 market spaces. And has also implemented their CBDC platform in one country, Paulo, as a test ground. So, you want freedom from CBDCs in the future, which is not that far away? Cryptocurrencies. You want better freedom? Private tokens. You want ultimate freedom? Be the backbone. XRP. The backbone of CBDCs. Because they're coming either way. Why not benefit from it? So, regarding the whole Canada strike situation, because if you told people they'll freeze and seize your accounts on CBDCs, they would say you're crazy. The government freezing and seizing my account on CBDCs? No, that's ludicrous. Why would you say that? But they freeze and seize you on traditional bank accounts. What makes you think they won't be able to do it in CBDCs? It's just much more easy on CBDCs. A lot more easy on CBDCs. Also, expiry dates is just, a piece of cake. Now, RF Kennedy Jr. also called the trucker strike in Canada, where their bank accounts were frozen and seized, a very peaceful protest, which it was, where people were exercising freedoms that we take for granted in this country, like freedom of assembly, freedom to petition their governments. But the Canadian government portrayed it publicly as a kind of a illicit activity. He said they began using technologies like facial recognition systems to identify people who are participating and then freezing their bank accounts. Just picture it, this is with traditional systems. In a CBDC world with social credit systems and AI technology, it wouldn't take them less than 1 second to freeze your entire life. I realized at that time that transactional freedom was as important as freedom of expression and that it is protected by the First Amendment. Fast forward, more than 2 years later, US policymakers realized there are 60 million Bitcoiners in the country. So they've been forced to change their tune on digital asset legislations. I think now it's past the point where it's inventable. And now we need to move as a country as able to get some control over Bitcoin as a part of its reserve, is what he said. Essentially, his views of strategic Bitcoin reserves is the only way America can continue the future of the dollar as a permanent global reserve currency. To hear what RF Kennedy Jr. has to say about the Federal Reserve, monetary policy, and the role of blockchain technology in preserving democracy. Said this a very long time ago, and I'll say it again. If you want to, essentially know where your country is headed, just, it's very easy. Just look at China. If you want to know where your country is headed, very, very easy. Now, before we go to the next news, which is Malaysia. Malaysia has made a formal bid to join BRICS. The next country to join BRICS is Malaysia. They've applied. This is all because, Sleepy Joe is weak. All because Sleepy Joe is weak. And also because, as I said, on the previous live show, it's either empire falls or empire adapts. In terms of history, by empire, I don't mean Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever it is, but in terms of empire, I mean in terms of the Persian Empire or the Roman Empire. They have the biggest empires in the world either have to fall or adapt. If they fall, then change happens. If they adapt, then change happens, but they're still in control. And what's essentially going on here is China and Russia are, with this whole BRICS situation, with the Bank of International Settlements and the International Monetary Fund, are controlling quite a bit of a play here. And because the United States is weak, not in terms of military, United States military, very strong, very strong. By weak, I mean the person in charge is just absolutely weak, rotten to the core, which is Sleepy Joe. There's a reason why he's called Sleepy Joe. It's because he's never there. He's always half asleep. And, or sometimes, full on sleep. But it goes back to the whole Roman Empire and essentially Persian Empire. It's either the empire has to fall for a change to happen, or the empire has to adapt for a change to happen. So, more countries obviously joining the whole BRICS line and saying, we want to join BRICS. And, it's either the empire falls, which means US falls, and change happens under China and Russia, Bank of International Settlements and so on, or the empire adapts. And some empires in history didn't adapt. They just fell. Persian Empire, they fell. They didn't adapt. Roman Empire, they fell. They didn't adapt, and so on and so on. But, this particular empire, which is the United States, controls the entire financial space. It either has to fall or it has to adapt. And what's happening right now is they're pushing it to fall off the cliff. So either the United States has to adapt, which is Trump. Trump will make the United States adapt and bring that control back and put the fear back in the market space. And by fear, I don't mean bear market. I mean fear as in Russia, Putin will think twice about doing anything when Trump is in power. China will think twice about doing anything when Trump is in power. Any country, any government will think twice about their actions before they implement it. But obviously, when you have someone like Sleepy Joe in place, nobody cares. Let the empire fall. The United States falls. And change happens. But when you have somebody like Trump in power, the United States doesn't fall. Adapts and stays in control. And the other opposite thing happens, which is BRICS gets dismantled. Because if you have somebody in control that's powerful, knows what they're doing, and puts fear in all these leaders, because Trump doesn't need to be respected, he needs to be feared. Because a lot of people will say, well, nobody respects Trump. Who cares? Nobody respects Trump. They fear Trump. And people will say, well, nobody fears Trump either. Really? Nobody fears Trump? Kim Jong-un, that, nut job in North Korea. He said he's going to do this and that to the world, to the United States. Trump landed in his country, shook that man's hand and put him in his place. He went essentially into Afghanistan, withdrawing from Afghanistan. He showed a picture of the Afghanistan's leader. I'm not going to name the group, but their leader, a picture of his house. And he said, if you touch any American, this is a picture of your house. He said, we're withdrawing from Afghanistan, but if you touch any American, here's a picture of your house. And the leader of Afghanistan said, what's this? And Trump said, you know what this is. So he doesn't need to be respected. He needs to be feared. And that fear will put the world back in control. Because there's too much happening in this world. There's a lot of disrespect happening in this world that needs to stop. There's a lot of disrespect towards Christ, towards Jesus, towards God. There's a lot of disrespect happening in this world towards a lot of things. And it needs to stop. There's a lot of random wars happening. It needs to stop. There's a disrespect towards God. It needs to stop. There's a lot of things happening in this world that needs to stop. And there's only one person that can make it stop. Because that man might not be respected, but he's definitely feared. That's a good thing. Because they know he will do anything. And he will actually use the United States military power. Because who hands a picture of somebody else's house and goes, if you touch another American, you know what will happen? Who does that? And people say he doesn't love his people. I'm not an American at all. I'm not an American. I live in London. And I have more common sense than most people. A lot of things need to stop in this world. There's too much happening that one is random and one is disrespectful. There's a lot of things that's happening that's disrespectful towards a lot of people as well. A lot of people's religions, towards God, even basic things. And it needs to stop. And if we don't get that man into power, if we don't get Trump into power, it won't stop. It will just get worse and worse and worse and worse. The disrespect to God will continue. The disrespect to people's beliefs will continue. The disrespect to people's spaces will continue. The disrespect to people's genders, especially male and female, will continue. The wars will continue. Everything will continue. But if we get that man into power, everyone will fear him and it will all stop. Every single thing will stop. That's wrong in this world. So hate him, love him, whatever perspective you're on. He's the only one that could put a stop to everything. So just want to put that out there. Because there's a lot of disrespect towards God right now. And I'm not even, people have asked me, Miles, what religion are you, for example? People have asked me. And I said, none. But I believe in God. I've always believed in God. I'm no religion. I respect everybody's religion. I always respect everybody's religion. No matter what your religion is, I will always respect it because it's your beliefs. And I'm in no place to judge and say your religion is wrong or your religion is right. Nobody is. When that judgment day comes, everybody will be judged on their basis. So I'm not, nobody's perfect to be judging somebody else. So, but I always respect everybody's religion, and I always believe in God. I always do the right thing, help others when I can, and so on. But I have no religion, but I just believe in God. And there's too much disrespect happening. And people are just sitting there and taking it. Genuinely, people are just sitting there and taking it. Everything needs to stop. The random wars need to stop. The disrespect towards God needs to stop. The randomness of, the male and female situation needs to stop. If you know what I mean. The lunacy needs to stop, in other words. And we just need to go back to normal. And I've always said this, all religions at the end of the day lead to God. So let anyone have their own beliefs. At the end of the day, all the religions lead to a God, which is the same God. It's just everybody has different perspectives of God, but it all leads back to God. And again, that whole Olympic scene in France, absolutely disrespectful, absolutely disgusting. And what they did essentially in the French opening ceremony for the Olympics, absolutely disrespectful towards Christianity, towards Jesus, towards God. Where you had every religion coming out. But Malaysia, on the topic of Trump is the only man that could fix this and put essentially stop to this. More countries are going to keep on joining BRICS. And if this continues, the empire falls, which in this case is the United States. And many empires have fallen, as I said, in history: Roman, Persian, British, and so on. But if this continues, then essentially more countries will keep on joining BRICS. The US will get weaker and weaker, and it's not a good outcome, because a lot of people think it's a great outcome. I saw people protesting on a video on X, to be a part of illicit groups. I saw people protesting to be a part of the Russian Communist Party in America. It's the most dumbest thing I ever heard. Honestly. Because, you think, oh, it's bad being under the control of the US. Look, and I said this before, so I don't think any country should have control over another country at all. If we lived in an actual real world, a possible world would be every country is in control of their own country, and no other country should have control of another country. But we don't live in that world. We live in a world where one country has to have dominance over the rest to bring balance. And if this continues, we go from the balance of the US to the balance of China and Russia, mostly China. And people think that's a good thing. People think, moving away from the US and going towards China and Russia is a great thing. Yeah, China's the first country with CBDCs and social credit systems. Remember when I said 1,400 people on a test study in China were being told where to sit, where to eat, where to stand, where to walk, where to talk, where not to go, where to go? Yeah, that was in China, the same country that wants to control the game. And people think that's a good thing. They think, yes, let's move away from the US. If you move away from the US and the US falls, who do you think is in control next? The people? You think the people will be in control next when the US falls? No, it's going to be China. The country where the social credit systems come from and the CBDC wallets. What a bright future for everybody. So, hey, I would rather have the US controlling the game than China and Russia. But if you think otherwise, if you think China and Russia are better to be controlling the game and the US shouldn't control the game, then, that's an option also. But just remember one thing. CBDCs, social credit systems, pet. Good boy, sit boy, speak boy is what's happening in China, slowly. So obviously, if you think that's a good thing and you want to be a part of that, pet, basically, your choice. You want to be in CBDC social credit systems on, your choice. China's, if you want China and Russia in control, not the US. As I said, we don't live in a world where every country is in control of their own country. We don't live in a world like that. We don't live in a world where, Germany is in control of Germany, the UK is in control of UK, or, essentially the Middle East is in control of the Middle East. No, we live in a world where America has dominance. And we will always live in a world where somebody has dominance over the rest of the countries. Always. We will live in a world where one country or two countries will have dominance over the rest. Now, in this scenario, it's either would you have the US have dominance, or would you want China and Russia to have dominance? If you say China and Russia, please go to a doctor. Honestly, if you think China and Russia is a better solution, please go to a doctor and please get fully checked out. Because I would rather have the US in control. And again, we don't live in a world where every country is in control of themselves. We don't live in that world. We live in a world where one country has to have dominance. And if you had to choose, would you rather choose? The US have control or China? Because that's what's happening with BRICS. And people will say, oh, BRICS is a collective group. People will always tell you BRICS is collective. It's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and so on. People will always tell you, they will say, oh, BRICS is a collective group. BRICS is about multiple countries coming together as one unity, as one group, which is a load of BS. BRICS is not about a multitude of countries together. It's about China's dominance. They don't even like each other. Some of the BRICS countries don't even like each other. You know how there's a rule? You know there's a rule in BRICS where, what's the number one rule in BRICS? The number one rule in BRICS is, essentially, the number one rule in BRICS is national currencies. That's what BRICS is about. National currencies, where every country's currency gets used. Everybody inside the crypto space will tell you BRICS is about national currencies, where every country, their national currency is being used. Forget about the US dollar, is what they say. Inside the crypto space, they will say BRICS is about national currencies, where every country's currency will be used. Forget about dollar dominance, is what they will tell you. Did you know that, essentially India and Russia, BRICS members, original founding BRICS members, Russia and India, they did an oil trade with each other. BRICS members, Russia and essentially India, doing an oil trade with each other. India buys oil from Russia. India, thinking, I'm a BRICS member. For example, India thinks to themselves, well, I'm a BRICS member. Russia's a BRICS member. National currencies. India goes to pay with their national currency. Russia goes, what's this? India goes, well, national currency, BRICS. And basically Russia goes, no, we don't accept your currency. It doesn't have value. But BRICS is about national currencies. And do you know what the deal was at the end? India pays Russia with the Russian ruble and the US dollar. India paid Russia with US dollars, the same currency the BRICS says, no, dollar's bad. But remember, obviously, India, BRICS, founding fathers. Russia, BRICS, founding fathers. National currencies. India goes to buy oil. Russia goes, no, we don't accept this currency. Your currency is worthless. So India pays for the oil using Russian ruble and US dollars. But they're BRICS members. Remember, national currencies, very important in BRICS, because BRICS is about, unity. BRICS is about a collective of countries coming together. It's a load of BS. It's about China's control. BRICS hasn't even fully started yet, and they're already not accepting each other's currencies. So, honestly, this is why I say, who would you rather have in control, US or China? You rather have the US, you're smart. You would rather have China, please go to a doctor and get checked out. It makes me laugh every time, people say, oh, and you watch these Americans create these videos and they go, oh yeah, the BRICS nations, the BRICS nations is, the dollar's falling, yay, the dollar is falling. And you watch these Americans create these videos and go, what? Let me get this straight. You want the dollar to fall. If the dollar falls, your entire economy goes to the toilet, into the toilet, literally. And do you think that's good? Yes, they printed too much. Yes, they corrupted the economy. Yes, all the politicians are corrupt. No doubt about it. Politicians in general are corrupt. There's not a single good politician out there, pretty much. But do you think that's a good idea? Dollar going to zero? Dollar falling? The US falls? And BRICS. Now, and I see all these Americans creating these videos. The BRICS nations are going to make the dollar fall. The BRICS nations are going to go to the sky, to the moon, and the dollar is going to fall. Why is that a good thing? You live in the US. Right now, the economy is bad, and you think it's going to get better when the dollar falls. You think it's going to get better when the dollar falls. That's what it is. Or you're a moron. Honestly, when I see these people create these videos, the BRICS is going higher and higher. BRICS is going to make the dollar fall. And they go, oh, yeah, this is brilliant. You live in America, you moron. Why are you creating videos for BRICS and saying it's positive? Honestly, you think the economy is bad now? How do you think it's going to get better when the dollar falls? People can't afford, their mortgages, their loans, gas, electrics, food, groceries, and they think it's going to get better when BRICS overtakes and the dollar goes to zero. But you live in America. Honestly, I don't know where this mentality comes sometimes, where people in their own countries are bidding for another country that's against them to win. How? So that's where you get, essentially more countries joining, BRICS, the collective group, national currencies, but they don't accept each other's national currencies. So you get obviously like people like Malaysia. Malaysia makes a formal bid to join the BRICS team. Prime Minister Ibrahim has confirmed that Malaysia has sent a formal application letter to Russia, the current BRICS chair, expressing interest in either full membership or strategic partnership. Malaysia is looking to diversify its economy ties and reduce its dependence on the Western economies. Anwar mentioned that the country is waiting for feedback from South Africa to move forward with the membership process. The BRICS groups recently expanded to include the countries like UAE, Iran, Egypt, and Ethiopia. The plan is to create a multipolar world and challenge the current global global economic system. If they challenge again the global economic system, if you live in the US, it's not going to be a positive at all. The BRICS groups recently expanded essentially Russia's support and streak for BRICS. Russia is backing Malaysia's bid to join BRICS. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei essentially assured Anwar to Moscow support during his visit to Malaysia. Anwar said on a Facebook post, this is how hip essentially the Malaysian government is. The Malaysian government is using Facebook posts, not X. This potential membership holds substantial promise for both nations and shows us our commitment to creating strong international collaborations. He had first shown interest in joining BRICS ahead of China Premier Lee Qian's visit to Malaysia. Being a part of BRICS would give Malaysia access to financing and political platforms that isn't influenced by Washington. Let me just put in perspective. All these countries essentially that the US controls, the US gives them money, they borrow them money, they build their economy, and sometimes they take that money, the governments from these countries, and use that money that the US gives them, whatever. At the end of the day, they have to pay back that money. And if they can't pay back, then the US takes something in return of value. Same thing is happening in China, essentially in BRICS. So the BRICS nations introduced loans. And they said any country that wants to join BRICS can have access to loans, fix their economies. Now, some people will say, well, that's a good thing. A lot of countries need help. And the countries that essentially got loans from China ended up essentially forcing them to give something up at the end, because obviously they know they can't pay it back. As I said previously, I'm Persian, so that means I'm Iranian. And Iran borrowed money. Iran's government borrowed money from China. China knows, obviously, that Iran's government is corrupt. Iran's government is very corrupt. And China knows this. And China borrowed Iran's government money, knowing that they'll never get that back, which means China gets control of something. And China has control of many oil rigs in Iran now, and some land. It just basically, you're going from one control leader to another. BRICS is not freedom. There's no such thing as freedom. The word doesn't exist. When it comes to politics, power, greed, money, the word freedom doesn't exist. The same thing the US did, which was borrow money to nations, and then if they can't pay it back, they take something in return, is the exact same thing China's doing. Borrowing money to nations, knowing full well they can't pay it back, and then taking something in return. There's nothing freedom about. in his first German interest, obviously that, and said Honor criticized America's role and many things, and said that the Malaysia and Russia both support a permanent, essentially, situations for end some wars to come to an economic geopolitical effects. Malaysia's foreign ministry reported that Russia is Malaysia's 8th largest trading partner among European countries, with a trade increasing by 15.6% to $3.1 billion in 2023. Omro said that they explored ways to boost the cooperation in investment, trade, science, technology, agriculture, defense, education, and tourism during his meeting. And during essentially joining BRICS would also connect Malaysia to the BRICS New Development Bank. However, non-members like Bangladesh and Uruguay can still have access to the funds. The bank's founding documents ensures the original 5 members retain 55% of the voting power. Would you look at that? Remember, BRICS, utility, countries coming together. Everybody has a voice in BRICS. That's how they promote it. Everybody has a voice in BRICS. Everybody's national currencies matter in BRICS. And in reality, the BRICS founding members have 55% control of the BRICS Bank. BRICS founding members have 55% control of the BRICS banks. Now, it isn't clarified who has the most amount of control in the BRICS nations, but 55% the BRICS have control of. And the rest of the BRICS nations can have the pieces that's left. But again, BRICS is about, a collective basket of countries. Malaysia and Thailand, another country, bidding to join BRICS, don't face short-term balance or payment pressures, making the BRICS essentially reserve arrangements less relative for them. For leaders like the Thai party minister, joining BRICS isn't a strategy to push for eternal reforms, as membership doesn't impose strict, essentially structural conditions. Indonesia has considered joining BRICS last year, but decided against it. Argentina also backed out after the new president, Javier Milei, took office. Saudi Arabia, invited to join BRICS essentially in 2023, is hesitant, aware that joining might be seen as anti-Western move by the US, its security guarantor. Yes, of course. The reason why Saudi Arabia even exists, and Saudi Arabia is not a desert, is because of oil companies inside the United States. The reason why the United Arab Emirates exist, the reason why Dubai exists, is because of oil companies in the United States. Otherwise, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates will be deserts. But the US oil companies and the corporations were the ones that built that country from the ground up. So obviously, if Saudi Arabia joins BRICS, turning their back on the country that built them from the ground up, that won't end too well for Saudi Arabia or United Arab Emirates. At that point, it's just common sense. But yeah, honestly, next time you see people creating essentially pro-BRICS videos, saying BRICS is good, US dollar falls, yay, the US dollar falls, and they're American, why? Because I don't know, for some oddly reason, they think it's a good thing. They live in America, and they want the US dollar to go to zero. They live in America, and they want the US dollar to go to zero. Some people in America can't afford their groceries, they can't afford their rent, they can't afford their mortgage, they can't afford gas, they can't afford to buy a house, and they want the dollar to go to a zero, and they think it will get better when the dollar goes to zero. That should be interesting. It's like common sense is not even that common anymore. And again, yes, the government is corrupt. Yes, they abuse the dollar. Yes, they printed too much. But if it goes to zero, it's not going to get better. It will just get worse. That should just be common sense. Let's see where we were inside the comment section. We were at, Miles, you're cracking me up, brother. Let's go. You can get away from CBDC's move to Antarctica and live with the penguins, apart from probably have CBDC. Yep. That's China, CNN Miles. Yep. Very concerning Miles. Yep. Let's go, Shelley. Sleepy Joe and say what Kamala Harris. Yep. Biden was in charge when states finally left Afghanistan. Miles. He was, but also Trump made some comments. Men competing in women's sports needs to stop. Facts, Zach. I love Elon Musk's recent tweets about these topics on men. Facts. I agree with you, Miles. Same Miles. I just believe in God and pray to God. That's the way, Miles. We leave the judging to the Almighty. We are not here to judge. We are here to support facts. France is clear. They hate religion. All we need is to keep love in our hearts. Let's go, Ian. That wouldn't happen in the 50s in America, Miles. What was the CBDC documentary called? I want to watch. I'll find it for you. This wokeness has got out of hand. You don't see this in China. We will fall because of this. Yes, this whole wokeness that's happening around the world is going to be the downfall of the Western societies. It will be. And it's like on purpose. But obviously, when you have Trump in power, this whole wokeness, essentially comes to an end. And people start waking up and going, hang on a minute. Why am I rooting for China to win as an American? Or why am I rooting for Russia to win as an American when Trump's in power? But when you have somebody like Sleepy Joe and then Kamala Harris in power, you're going to be wondering to yourself, where did it all go wrong when the dollar's at a zero and China's in control? You're going to be sitting on the ground with no money because, the dollar's gone to zero. So essentially you have no money. And China's in control with Russia, the BRICS, essentially utility. And you're going to be thinking to yourself, where did it all go wrong? Why do I have no money? Why is China in control? Why is my dollars worthless? That's what people are going to say to themselves when that day comes. When I could tell you from now, I could exactly tell you where it went all wrong. It's because you're supporting the wrong team. In other words, stop putting your noses in. Yeah. Miles, you scare me sometimes when you talk about CBDs and SECs. Yeah, well, when your country is an ally of the US, we have no option. Just wish the US would wake up and start taking BRICS seriously. Stop it, Miles. Let's go in. The last 4 years were horrible. Just the fact that Kamala easily gives my hard-earned tax money to illegal aliens freely is why I have to vote for Trump. But I have several other reasons why I would never vote for her. I want Trump to build a wall around my farms so my camels don't escape to Australia, is what Sack said. But Sack's a joker in our group. XRD, XRP, XLM, XLX, ACH, HPOP. Let's go, Scott. Nice one. Sorry, I forgot about that new problem. I don't know. I don't think this will turn out well with Trump in charge. He will start a war just before BRICS finalizes or announced. I hope that doesn't happen. No, they're too scared to start a war. I don't want my money going to people that aren't supposed to be in this country legally. I hope not, bro. We don't want none of this happening again. I hope so, bro, because we don't want all this happening. I agree. And water desalination plants are becoming British brains, Miles. Honestly, in Saudis, yeah. I don't really know if the protests even know what they're protesting about, to be honest. Honestly, hopefully, just growing pains, things will level out. I hope, yeah, probably. And also, we have reached the endings of tonight's live show. But let me leave it on a positive note. Let me leave the live show on a positive note. For some odd reason, I can't see the rest of the comments. Oh, here we go. China owns a lot of American land and is using their natural water adequacy. They are, yes, definitely. And let's leave it on a positive note, which is, if you're an XRP, you're gonna have an amazing life. Short and simple. I learned this from a good friend by the name of Shelly, that you don't need to sometimes give it a long quote. You can just make it short and simple. If you own XRP, whatever future is headed your way, you're good because you own XRP. Bye, Miles. Woodhouse. See you tomorrow as usual. But that's a positive note there for you, for their business in the US. Yep. If you own XRP, whatever comes, you're good. And on tonight's live show, we talked about Malaysia because I thought let's make the point short and simple, straight to the point, essentially. On tonight's live show, we talked about BRICS and Malaysia. We talked about RF Kennedy Jr. We talked about Galaxy CEO. We talked about Slovenia. We talked about essentially regarding launching their first ever bonds, and the World Bank launching in 2019. We talked about the US SEC sued over NFTs. Gary Gensler being sued by a very critical lawyer from the essentially. It's not looking good for Gary Gensler in any aspects. We also talked about Bitcoin's ownership, essentially stirring some controversial points regarding centralizations. We talked about Wisdom Tree's CEO saying that crypto is going to go mainstream. We talked about why the US government's latest could essentially crash the market. The US government moving around too much Bitcoin. We talked about BlackRock and regarding their bad news on Solana, which not launching an ETF, which is absolute BS. BlackRock will launch many ETFs. BlackRock, as I said, is the same company that said Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme, and now they have a Bitcoin ETF and an Ethereum ETF. So they will have multiple ETFs. If you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, tune into it every single night. It's called the CMF Live Show. It's on YouTube Live right now. It's on X Live right now, depending on where you're watching from this, on X or on YouTube. If you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and tune into it every single night. Drop a follow, drop a like on both platforms. Drop a comment if you want as well. And I will be seeing everybody. And also, we have a Telegram group as well for this live show as well. If you want to be joining a Telegram group, it's completely free. It's called the Crypto Mouse Family, which is the name of this live show, CMF. And sorry, I just want to read this comment as well. Good night, Miles and all CMF. Thank you for all the news. JP, no problem. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Bye, Miles. I own XRP. Let's go with us. Good night, Miles and family. Great live. Brilliant information. Many thanks. See you tomorrow. Ian, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Thank you, Miles and CMF. Good night. Mike, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Good night. Free and forever. Miles, I remember you stating that you would love to be a king, essentially permitting to the original country which lost the Shah of Iran. You are our king now, and you are our king now of our kingdom, and you will always be. Thanks. Free and forever. Thanks so much for the kind words, bro. Honestly, thanks so much for the kind words, free and forever. Good night, Miles and CMF. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks so much for the kind words. And yes, the Shah of Iran, an incredible person. Shah of Iran, incredible man. Honestly, thank you so much for the kind words as well. I will be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. I can take out an XRP loan from the bank if I own XRP, yes. Once after regulations, yes. HSBC Bank or Standard Chartered Bank will be probably your first choice, but other banks will be implementing it as well the closer we get to more regulations. And I will be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. CMF. See you all tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. And I just spilled water all over my laptop. Brilliant. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, Miles. Good night, Miles and family. Troy, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. I'll see everybody tomorrow. What else? See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. CMF, see you tomorrow. Thanks. Stacy, see you tomorrow. Stacy, good night, Miles. CMF, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Bye. With us, see you tomorrow. Stacy, see you tomorrow. Everybody, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. I have to go, Miles. Thank you. Shelly, see you tomorrow, same time as usual.